There's a creature in the Sonoran Desert that's well hidden, so you see very little of him. And if you do see him, you should try to see even less of him. He's a rattlesnake. I'm Rita Goldner, and I'm an author-illustrator of children's picture books. I'm passionate about wild animals, so that's what I usually write about, and that's what I draw. I've had to do a lot of research for my job, and I've come up with some interesting, fun facts about rattlesnakes, also some folklore stories about rattlesnakes, and a sketch that's an easy to follow along. You'll just need a regular piece of white paper, computer paper is fine, and a red pencil, and also a regular number 2 black pencil. You could also use a black marker if you'd like, but you don't need it. You also won't need an eraser. In fact, I recommend against it because it'll just confuse the sketch. For this sketch, I scotch taped together 3 different photos of a rattlesnake. One of the head, one of the rattle, and one of the body, because I couldn't find one photo of a rattlesnake that I liked the entire thing. So now that I have my photo printed out, I'm going over the shapes on it, not even thinking about them as parts of a snake, but just as triangles, ovals, lines, rectangles, whatever. And then I will later take all these different shapes and transfer them onto a separate piece of white paper. I'm drawing a line here on my reference photo so you can see there's 3 different shapes that line up. The tip of the tail, the middle coil, and the bottom coil. And then if you draw another straight line at the back end of the snake, you'll see that the tip of the rattle and the back side of 2 of the coils also line up in a straight line. So that helps you see how you've made the shapes in reference and proportion one to the other. While I'm drawing the diamond shapes on the snake, I'm going to tell you a Native American legend about rattlesnakes. Long ago, there was a beautiful vine that lived in the woods next to the cool creek, and people used to swing from the vine into the water and have a lot of fun. The vine loved her life and loved being around people, but then she noticed that once in a while, people, when they grabbed hold of her, they would get sick. So she realized she had poison in her, and she was very sad because she wanted to continue playing with people. So she asked the great being for help. The great being had created all the animals, and so asked the other animals if they'd be willing to take away the poison from the vine into their own bodies. Several snakes volunteered to do it, and the first one was the diamondback rattler. So he took the poison away from the vine, and then the grand being asked the snake, how are you going to let people know that you're poisonous so they'll stay away? And the diamondback rattler thought of an idea of throwing a big rock into the air and then allowed it to fall on the end of his tail. And when the rock landed and crushed the end of his tail, it made his tail rattle. And then the snake said, if man bothers me or comes near me, I will rattle my tail as a warning for him to leave me alone. From that day on, his name was changed to Rattlesnake. I'm copying the shapes from my reference photo onto a plain piece of white paper in red so that I can make as many mistakes as I want. I can just get a rough idea where I want the lines to be, and then later, when I compare one shape to another, if I see I've made it too big or too small, I just do it again. But don't ever erase the original one that you did that you thought was a mistake, because now that is the guideline for you to use to not repeat the same mistake. So now I'm adding the shapes of the diamonds, and it doesn't have to be exact. It can be just random shapes. You'll see on the reference photo that not every shape is the same, and they're not even shaped like diamonds. In some cases, they're circles or ovals. So you can just have fun making up your shapes as you go along. Here's some fun facts about rattlesnakes. There's more species in Arizona than anywhere else. The rattles are made up of keratin, which is the same material that human beings have in their hair, skin, and fingernails. When they grow out of their old skin and grow through the molting process, their bodies will add an extra segment to the rattle each time. You can't tell their age by counting the segments, though, because they break off as they age. Rattlers' fangs have hinges, so when they close their mouth, the fangs can lie flat against the top of their mouth. You'll see in my sketch I'm going over the lines I like in a darker black and just ignoring the lines that I don't like, the ones that I have put a little X on when I was using the red crayon. When you get your drawing exactly the way you want it, rub a number 2 graphite pencil on the back of the paper, and then you can transfer the drawing with another sharp pencil or pen onto a piece of watercolor paper or canvas or something, and then you can make a final nice fine art drawing. I hope you learned something about rattlesnakes today and that you're becoming a fan of wild animals too. Please subscribe to see more animal videos like this one and click on the little bell to be notified whenever I post. Thank you.